Kingdom Hearts Union Cross was a truly unforgettable Kingdom Hearts experience. Another feather in the cap for Kingdom Hearts fans, as many experiences we've had with the series are truly unforgettable, but this one definitely stands out for multiple reasons, both good and debatable. This game started off very rocky for some. While a lot of people were very excited for a Kingdom Hearts mobile game at the time, not everyone was super excited for it being canon and it being pivotal to future Kingdom Hearts lore. A lot of us originally thought it was going to be more pivotal to Kingdom Hearts 3, when really key back cover was all you really needed to understand the story for that game, or even understand the epilogue really. But Union Cross, the key saga, would end up being extremely relevant in Phase 2, which is still underway. Kingdom Hearts Key Browser was met with a lot of really good reception by fans. A lot of people loved the way that story ended, and it served as a point of interest for a lot of people to get into the mobile games that will later release in 2016, 2015. Though when the mobile games came out, the story didn't really kick off until the Union Cross expansion, and even then, the story was like progressing so slowly and so just sporadically over time that it was really hard for a lot of people to grasp onto it. Though the few people that did not stop talking about it, and I was definitely one of them. I had my ups and downs with the story. Some things I was a little conflicted on my feelings with. Like, at first, I was not a big fan of people like Lauriam being a Union leader, but as time went on, as I played Kingdom Hearts 3, as I revisited some of these Kingdom Hearts games, and even just thought about it a little bit more, I grew to accept it, and most importantly, grew to like it a lot, actually, and think it's one of the best decisions they've ever made for his character. It's one of those things where the slow updates definitely affected my perception of some story twist, of some story events, because you have so long to think about this one scene. You're thinking about just all the different possibilities it could go kind of with it. At least at the time, that's how my mind was. So I was always thinking about like where they could go good with this, where they could go bad with this, and it will leave me conflicted on a lot of story events. But as the story started to unfold, as the layers started to like be peeled off bit by bit by bit, you really could see more and more where they were going with this, and it was honestly great. It was amazing. And I'm very confident saying that's probably one of the best Kingdom Hearts stories we've experienced in the modern era at a minimum. I think what really did started grasping me a lot more for Union Cross specifically was when they started focusing a lot more on the Charlottsia stuff. When they first revealed that, I ended up being very, very interested, and I felt like this little plot they were going with the Union leaders was interesting as well, despite me having certain critiques at the time about who was picked to be Union leaders at the time. This would later unfold into a giant murder mystery plot, which once revealed, once found out about who the murderer was, which took definitely years, everything just started coming to the surface. You started seeing more of the Master and Lucio, you started seeing more of Darkness, the main villain of Kingdom Hearts, you can say now, and things were really just moving. Moments like Lauriam versus Maleficent were insanely hype. Things like all the Union leaders, or some of the Union leaders against Darkness, were very memorable moments. And things even more than like the action scenes, like things like Lauriam just sitting down in like a little vision or a little flashback with his sister, like in a field of flowers, were really wholesome moments in the Kingdom Hearts series that I really want to see animated and just want to see more of in general. This ending did a fantastic job at expressing the true tragedy of the situation that not just the Union leaders were in, but people like Lucio was in, people like the Master was in, people like the Foretellers were in, even though they were gone at this point. This situation isn't ideal for anyone. All of these Union leaders who were friends, or at least like pretty close to being friends, who cared about each other, had to be separated and live out their lives like kind of separately. Some not even having their memories in certain instances, like with Marluxia and Larxene, who would later be a part of the organization for years and years and wouldn't be able to progress in, well, what they wanted to progress in. Ephemer seemingly living out his life without his friends and building a whole civilization so they would have somebody to keep the light alive, in a sense. Ephemer did a lot of what Ava set out to do with her role from the Master, and Ephemer kind of carried that out, kept the light alive, building Scarlet Kylum, being the first Keyblade Master, founder of that world, allow people like Xehanort, Ericus, and likely others who we don't know about fully to pass on their powers, pass on the Keyblade, and keep the protectors of light, the seeds of light for the future, alive. Luxu, even though he does not like what the Master is doing, is very much against it from what it seems in the last cutscene, which characterized him and the Master a lot and really expressed like just how interesting their dynamic is. Really makes you feel like bad for Luxu and makes you wonder what is making him, you know, follow the Master. Is it just undeniable like faith that his plan is going to work? Is it just because he feels like there's nothing else for him to do? He has to do this. And these little like thought processes makes you really want to look forward to what they're going to be doing next. Makes every moment some of these characters are on screen super engaging, super entertaining, and just great. Even the player got an insane amount of characterization, character development. The players straight up sacrificing themselves in front of their friends, pushing Ephemer to the point where he would send the player, you know, to this portal because Ephemer thought he was like controlled by darkness, and the player with this godlike plan locked the portal from the other side so the darknesses wouldn't be able to escape, sacrificing themselves and later reincarnating into Xehanort and finding out that the Cheerthes in the player's heart turn into Dream Eaters. It's all really insane and makes you look at the rest of the series differently as well, which is something that I love that games like this are able to do. I love it when Kingdom Hearts is able to just make you look at the other games in a different light as well. It's definitely one of my favorite things about the series, because after playing through a game like Kingdom Hearts 3, after playing through a game like Dream Drop Distance, after playing through a game like Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, you look back at games like Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, 2, Birth by Sleep, and you're thinking to yourself like, dang, was this a reference? Was this a little detail they're going to expand upon later? Oh, was this a sign of X character, you know, being in this timeline? Or even just small things like little lines during cutscenes having way more layers like added to them, like Xehanort's, you know, ending in Kingdom Hearts 3 when he's sitting there telling Ericus, I can do this. It had a level of sadness before to it, but now it really does, because you know that the player reincarnates into Xehanort, and we don't know like to what extent that like has a effect on his character, but still it's a extra layer to that story, to that character, that just makes you look at them differently. And I think in a good way, because it creates discussion, it creates experiences between you, your friends, the community, and that's something I've always loved about Kingdom Hearts. That's something that I really always have loved about Union Cross, even compared to other Kingdom Hearts games, because of how few and far between updates can be sometimes for Union Cross. It's really exciting getting to the discussions about the theories, getting to the discussions about the characters, and since this story's been going on for years and years now, just a little less than a decade, we've had so many revelations, so many different theories, and this game has sparked an entire different part of the Kingdom Hearts community, gotten a ton of people into Kingdom Hearts, and I'm super grateful to it for that. We still have Dark Road to go, so technically the Key Saga, Union Cross, that era isn't completely over yet, but Union Cross is at least the end of Daybreak Town, a world that we've been seeing in our updates, in our games, for years and years. Dark Road is like a transitional title in my head, a transition game between Kingdom Hearts Key to Birth by Sleep Time, Dark Road being the in-between of that, so that's where it's at in my head. But we do still have Dark Road to go on, and I cannot wait to see what happens with that game in September. But I just want to say thank you to the Union Cross team, thank you to Square Enix, thank you to everyone who made this game's experience just so unforgettable. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. My name is Prodigy, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out, you guys. Bye.
Now she's a daydreamer. She's always thinking about him. No more room in this picture for you to fit in. Now she's crying on the phone, telling you she's not good enough for him. When you think that she is